So hello everyone and welcome to episode 6 of our Reviving Manor Racing save here on F123. Now if you didn't watch the last episode, it was the Monaco Grand Prix, and spoiler alert, it was George Russell who won the Monaco Grand Prix. Great race from him. Max Verstappen in P2, Sergio Perez in P3. Lewis Hamilton did not finish and was the only driver not to do so. For the standings, it means that Max Verstappen is still leading the Drivers' Championship from Charles Leclerc by 11 points. Checo Perez is just a point behind Charles Leclerc on 86. Hamilton dropped away with just 63 points now, and George Russell caught his teammate with that fantastic win. We didn't score any points in that race. It must be said, it wasn't the worst race for us. We seem to have a habit of finishing in P13 at this moment in time, but I'm hoping that can change this weekend because we head to Spain. And I think this is a track that I really like. I think this may suit our car a little bit as well. We haven't had too much R&D from the last race to this one, but I fancy us to actually score a point here in Catalonia. Just to bring you up to date with the facilities and what we're doing in the background. Powertrain-wise, we've just upgraded the fabrication on that. So we are looking forward to that upgrade coming in on the powertrain department. And all the rest, Spec 1 at the minute. We're just working his way through, building his way up back to the front of the grid. It's going to be quite a long process, but who knows, maybe a bit of investment next season. Who knows what can happen. So I'm going to get through qualifying now, and we'll see you in Catalonia for the Spanish Grand Prix. So the end of qualifying, Max Verstappen is going to be on pole for tomorrow's Spanish Grand Prix, followed by Russell and Hamilton, the two Mercedes looking particularly quick as they usually do. We are down in P14, just behind Nico Hülkenberg, but in front of Lance Stroll, who didn't have a very good qualifying. Yuki Tsunoda's in P18, our rival of course. Nick De Vries P21 with Ollie Caldwell very much at the back of the grid, a second behind us in terms of pace so far this weekend. So let's get to the grid for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome along everyone to sunny Spain, specifically to the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya. So many great moments in Formula One history have been written at this very track over the years, including Michael Schumacher's first win for Ferrari back in '96. That win was in the rain. We might have better weather here today, but we're just as overjoyed to be at the Spanish Grand Prix. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and we welcome the removal of the chicane in the final sector, shortening lap times and reducing the total running to 2.9 miles and 14 turns. This was actually the original setup for the track, and it hasn't been used since 2007. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Sainz, Norris, Perez, Leclerc, Zhou, Ocon, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Hülkenberg, Lewis, Stroll, Magnussen, Bottas, Tsunoda, Albon, Sargent, De Vries and Ollie Caldwell. And now it's time to head down to the track.
So a lot of work for Ollie Caldwell to do from the back of the grid. We're in P14. We can see the Aston Martin in front of us to the left-hand side. Let's have a little look at the strategy screen now. We've done all the race strategy practices, so we've got a decent personalised forecast. 10 laps on the soft, followed by 13 on the medium. I think it's probably going to be the way to go. If we're really struggling on the tyres, we may go on to the hards. We're going to take a little bit of fuel out as well. Not too much, but just enough. Just to improve us a little bit. But yeah, I'm hoping that we could score possibly a point today. That is the aim. Let's get to 5 red lights. I fancy this one. Here we go then. Spanish Grand Prix round 6 of our season. It's Max Verstappen who will lead us away with George Russell. We're in P14 and we're straight away going to ride on board with us as we get a fantastic start. Getting the jump on Kevin Magnussen, and we can see Pierre Gasly on the inside of us. We're going to have to dart around the left-hand side here, which is what we do. We keep it just about within track limits and go around the outside of Pierre Gasly. What a move that was. And that has got us up into P11 with Fernando Alonso and Charles Leclerc, the two in front of us now, as we can see Pierre Gasly right on the back of us now. We run a little bit wide. Gasly has a look up the inside. We give him the space, but we are still managing to hold on to P11 as we come round this sharper left-hander now. And we are looking at the bike of Fernando Alonso. Meanwhile, at the bike, we can see Ollie Caldwell in P19. He's stuck behind Logan Sargent at this moment in time, but we are looking very, very happy. Behind Fernando Alonso, we are concerned about the pace of that Alpine of Pierre Gasly, it must be said, but at the moment we seem to be doing enough just to keep him at bay. And as we come towards the end of lap 1, Max Verstappen nearly pulling out a second lead on George Russell in that Mercedes. Carlos Sainz is in P3 from Hamilton in P4. Then comes Perez, Jean, Norris, Ocon, Leclerc and Alonso. But Max Verstappen running away with it here at the start of this Spanish Grand Prix. Coming on to lap 3, you join us back and we can see in front of us Leclerc having a little look at Guan Yu Zhou, and he looks like he's got the job done in front of him. Charles Leclerc going in to turn 1. Will he manage to outbrake the Chinese driver? He certainly looks like he will. Leclerc's on the soft compound, Zhou on the hard. It's a no contest really, and Guan Yu Zhou down to P9, and Fernando Alonso is very, very close to him, and Fernando Alonso looks like he's going to make a move, and it's Zhou Guan Yu dropping a couple of places in the first sector of this lap, and we're now looking at the back of the Chinese driver. Remember, we're on the soft compound tyre. Can we make a move on Zhou Guan Yu when we should be quicker in the early parts of this race? Lap 3 coming on to lap 5. You join us back. We can see Zhou Guan Yu. We've got the DRS. He hasn't. He has dropped a couple of seconds now to Leclerc and Alonso. He moves over to the inside a little bit, almost letting us go. But we make the move round the outside into turn 1. And that is job done for us. Zhou Guan Yu down into P11. We in the Manor Racing up into the points paying positions. Lap 5. And on lap 7, we are not managing to catch the 2 cars in front of us, but Oscar Piastri on the hard compound tyre is looking increasingly quick, and we do, to be fair, we don't try and fight it. He's got the DRS on us. If we can latch onto the DRS of him now, that would be absolutely ideal. On lap 8, it is still at the front. Max Verstappen is leading from Carlos Sainz. Now in P2, obviously his home Grand Prix, he's 4.8 seconds back from Max Verstappen. Then comes George Russell in the Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton, who's on the hard compound tyres as well, in P4. P5 is Sergio Perez. Norris is in P6, Ocon P7, 8th and 9th, Alonso and Leclerc not being separated all afternoon. And then we can see Oscar Piastri now in P10. We're following in P11, and we've just had a message over the radio that our DRS has a fault and we will not be able to open the DRS. So despite being in DRS range, as we can see here, that rear wing of ours not opening, and that has really buggered our plan up, to put it bluntly, because now we are going to have to really, really push on worse tyres to try and keep up with Oscar Piastri. Lap 8. Lap 10, you join us back, and as you can see, we are dropping off from Oscar Piastri, and Pierre Gasly is getting incredibly close behind us. Piastri was actually closing the gap a little bit to Leclerc, but you can see our DRS was not opening there, and Pierre Gasly is now on the back of us, and we have said to the garage, well, we said a few things to the garage. There's been a few expletives saying, come on, get me rear wing working, man. But we are now going to take this opportunity to pit. We are going to box now, try and get a little bit of an undercut, and hopefully this DRS is going to come back online, because I've been without it now for 3 or 4 laps, and it's really, really having a bad effect on our race. We wanted to keep up with Piastri, but it's let Pierre Gasly back into the fight with us, and as you can see, we're just trundling in to the pit lane now. Let's have a look, see if we get any issues here, if it's a decent stop, which it appears to be. Charles Leclerc came in as well in front of us, and we are going to rejoin 19th, and it looks like we're going to rejoin just behind our teammate Ollie Caldwell. Lap 11, we're onto the medium compounder tyre, and on our out lap, we've caught Ollie Caldwell pretty quickly. I'm expecting Ollie to box this lap, but we have got the better grip on these tyres. We've been the faster driver all season so far, and we're getting a little bit held up here behind Ollie Caldwell. We're not best pleased with this, as we're having to lift off a little bit. But Ollie Caldwell, is he going to dive into the pit lane? He certainly is. He would have given us DRS. Maybe he didn't know and was trying to give us DRS, but obviously we haven't got that luxury at this moment in time. But we've got a few cars coming into the pit lane. Sonoda, our rival, being one of them, as is Nico Hulkenberg and Zhou Guan Yu. As you can see, we've just trundled past there, kept the gap to Zhou Guan Yu, and we are now up into P15. But we've got a few cars still to pit. Max Verstappen isn't one of them. Max Verstappen has pit, and he is now onto the hard compound tyre in that Red Bull, and all over the back of Pierre Gasly, who I believe will be pitting this lap. Lap 12. Lap 13, and we can see a few cars coming into the pits here. Perez is in, Russell's in, Piastri is in. He's the man that we're watching today. He's coming off the hard compounder tyre and he's going to go on to the medium compound. Not a bad stop from the McLaren team. Few cars pitting. Let's have a look where we are as we are just coming back down the start finish straight here. Now, will we manage to overtake Piastri? That's the big thing here. We can see we are past Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri rejoining, and he can see that Manor Racing car in front of him. We are back up into the points paying positions, but now it's how long we can keep in front of Piastri, because we still haven't got this DRS fixed. It's not affecting us at the moment because there's a good 4-second gap between us and the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, who's in a little bit of a DRS train himself. But us in P10, we've got to negate this as long as we can and keep Piastri behind us. Lap 13. And coming towards the end of lap 15, it's getting very nervy because if you can see on the mirrors on the left and right hand side now, Oscar Piastri is incredibly close to us. And we can see him coming down the left hand side. Oscar Piastri makes the move before we get to turn 1. He's got the DRS. We haven't. And we are screaming on the radio saying, come on guys, fix this bloody wing, because if you don't, we could potentially lose a point today, and a point for us would be absolutely massive. We've got some ERS to use. We've been saving the ERS because we knew this was probably going to happen. Piastri does seem very quick in that McLaren, and he's in a quicker car as well, and we're doing everything we possibly can to keep up now with the Aussie driver until hopefully our DRS comes back online. Meanwhile, while all this is happening at the front of the Grand Prix, Max Verstappen is leading 6 seconds to Carlos Sainz. It's job done for Max Verstappen, I would suggest, unless something majorly goes wrong now. Checo Perez in P3. He's got Lewis Hamilton and George Russell behind him. Norris in P6, a little bit further back. He's in a battle with Leclerc and Fernando Alonso. Then comes Esteban Ocon in a little bit of a world of his own at the moment. Then comes Piastri, and there we are, 0.7 of a second behind the Aussie driver. Now let's have a look. When we come back onto this lap, have we got the DRS back? I don't believe we will have, not as of yet. The rear wing still doesn't open, and we're burning ERS to keep up with Oscar Piastri, lap 17. And later on lap 17, we've just got the message that we've been dying to hear. The DRS is back online. It's very good. And as we can see now, as we switch to the TV view, we now have that rear wing wide open, which is going to allow us to catch back up to Oscar Piastri. We are back in the fight for points. If that hadn't to come back online, we would have been nowhere near points this afternoon. But now we can latch onto the back of Oscar Piastri, and let's have a look as we come on towards lap 18 on this final start-finish straight. Let's have a look now at what we can gain on Oscar Piastri with the DRS open. And as you can see at the bottom there, DRS enabled. Let's go for it. And we can see the time tumbling down on the left-hand side, and we do get within 0.4 of a second of the Aussie driver. We've got 5 laps to make this count and get a point for Manor Racing. Gasly's a little bit further back now, and it's also going to help us defend from Pierre Gasly. Meanwhile, at the front, we can see Lewis Hamilton now has overtaken Checo Perez. Checo Perez is now down into P4, so Hamilton on for another podium. It's Red Bull from Ferrari, from Mercedes at the front, lap 18. Coming on to lap 21, we've had a couple of laps of saving ERS, and now we've decided we're going to try and attack Oscar Piastri because he seems to be slowing a little bit as well. And as you can see, we go to the outside. Let's have a look at this from the TV view. It's good, hard, clean racing, but we get the move done. And let's see now if we can do this. But Oscar Piastri gets a better exit there, and he's now all over the back of us once again. We can see in the mirrors on the left-hand side, Oscar Piastri round the outside. We give him a fair amount of room. And Oscar Piastri, this is great battling from us here. He's got the wider line. He'll tuck in and have the inside line for this next corner. And Oscar Piastri, we overtook him on the DRS straight, but he got us back straight away. Much thinking to be done before we launch our final attack of this race, lap 21. And coming on to lap 22, we have got the better exit out of the final corner. DRS wide open as we come down this start-finish straight. We're going to make a move this time to the inside line. Oscar's on the outside line. Let's have a look once again as we see this move live. We go to the inside. We've got, it's again, good fair racing, and we've got the move done on Oscar Piastri on lap 22. So, 2 racing laps to go, including this one. Can we hold off Oscar Piastri? Once again, he's still very close to us going round this this section. But this time, we've managed to cover him off going into here. The thing is, and this is what we're thinking now in the cockpit, we have got to get DRS on that start-finish straight, because if we don't, I don't see how we can possibly keep hold of P10. As we ride on board on the cockpit view from us, is Oscar Piastri going to manage to get an overtake done here? We run a little bit wide on that corner, and Oscar Piastri, he's going for the inside move. He's going for that. Now, we actually have lifted off a little bit here. We don't want DRS going into this final start-finish straight. So what we've decided to do is just hang back a little bit, and we will therefore get DRS on this final lap. That's what we want to do, but we're going to try and make the move on this straight and then defend. We've got battery. As we can see, we've got a little bit of battery to use, and we go to the inside line this time, and we are now going to get the job done before we get into turn 1. We are up into P10, and this battle that's been going on practically all the race between us and Oscar Piastri is going to come down to this final lap as we ride on board with us. 2 tenths is the gap, but this time Oscar Piastri is a little bit further back from us. We seem to have a little bit of pace, which Oscar's really struggling. Whether it's tyre wear, I'm not too sure. Remember, his tyres should be fresher than ours, but we have managed them well, and Oscar Piastri, 4 tenths is the gap. Let's have a little look from his point of view. We are going for a point for Manor Racing. This could be absolutely huge, but we've got to defend this last DRS straight, and I don't think Oscar Piastri is going to have anything left to fight as we come round this final section. It's going to have to be a mega dive bomb here, as he has a little bit of a snap there, Oscar Piastri. But as we come round the final few corners, I would think that Manor Racing are going to score their 2nd points position of the season in round 6 in Spain, and we are going to come across the line, and boy are we happy with this. It's a point for Manor Racing. What a performance. Let's get to the podiums, but my God, let's get some beer out in that Manor Racing garage. What a performance from us.
Team effort then, which has paid off in spades. A great victory here at the Spanish Grand Prix. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody.
Max Verstappen then picking up another win. The championship leader extending his lead over his competitors. Lewis Hamilton getting another podium for Mercedes, and Ferrari on there as well. 3 different constructors on the podium, but it was all about us today and getting that point. Let's get, well, the champagne is flowing, which it's going to be in the Manor Racing garage tonight. Let's have a look at the full classifieds. And as we saw, Max Verstappen wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz 2nd, Hamilton 3rd, Sergio Perez coming in P4, Russell P5, Fernando Alonso started 11th, finished P6. Definitely a chance for driver of the day for Fernando. Lando Norris P7, Leclerc P8, Ocon P9, and there we are scoring a point for Manor Racing. But what a battle that was with Oscar Piastri. Fantastic driving from him, good, hard, clean racing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, I've got to say. Meanwhile, all the way at the back, Ollie Caldwell, bless him, last again, and to be fair, it's not looking good for Ollie. Or we're going to have to be a bit Red Bull-like and pull the trigger on Ollie Caldwell if he continues these performances. I can accept him being behind me, but being behind Nick De Vries, it's a difficult one. Kevin Magnussen was the only DNF of the race. If we have a look at the standings, Max Verstappen, as we said, extends his lead. The gap is now 25 points to his teammate Checo Perez in P2, Charles Leclerc in P3. We are into P13. We're above Valtteri Bottas. We'll take that, and if Oscar Piastri had beat us, he possibly would have been level on points with us as well, if I can get my words out. Lando Norris comfortably beating his teammate, it must be said, in that McLaren team. If we have a look at the constructor standings, Red Bull extend their lead. They are now in P1, 65 points. The gap to Ferrari, who are in P2. Mercedes a little bit further back in P3. We jump above Alfa Romeo, so we're now in P9, and we're looking at the back of Haas. Is this car improving enough to score the smaller points on regular occasions? We'll have to have a look at that, but please like and subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra!